Okay, so next we're going to have Ray Walia, recognized as one of the 500 most influential business leaders in Vancouver, Canada for 2021 and 2022. Ray Walia is a serial entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience in both the entertainment and technology sectors. Welcome to the stage, Ray.
Morning, everyone. I'm here to give you a view of the entertainment world through my eyes. I sit in a kind of a unique situation. I'm at the epicenter of tech, but I have a strong entertainment background. So I'm going to talk about how tech has been influencing entertainment here in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's a little bit about me. So Launch Ventures, my parent company. Under Launch Ventures, we own and operate a network of accelerators, innovation studios, investment funds, and we do large-scale tech events. The big tech event is called Traction. Traction's now recognized one of the top 10 tech conferences in North America. Our community has grown to over 150,000 tech leaders from around the world. So I give big props to Barbara and her team because I know what it takes to take an idea and bring it to something that is changing the world. And EXNW is going to be one of those things. We started at Harborview nightclub doing our first conference there for 200 people that ballooned to 500 people. And look at us now, we're at 150,000 around the world. So East by Northwest is going to be a force to be reckoned with. You're at the front row seat to see it grow to that. I built a bunch of venture studios, but right now our focus is really on sports entertainment. I've got some projects in the Bollywood industry. My family has a seat at the pioneers in the Bollywood industry. We started in the late 60s, revolutionizing the live entertainment concert sector for Bollywood. I'm working on some under-the-cover projects right now that's going to bring me back to the Bollywood roots. But right now, my main project is called Playwise. Playwise is trying to revolutionize the sports industry by helping athletes manage their data. And the goal is to make sure no athlete goes bankrupt ever again. And the technology that we see that we're able to apply in sports, we see crossing over to entertainment for artists, for musicians, for actors, but more on that to come. I'm most well known for our accelerator, Launch Academy. Launch Academy is a nonprofit. We've helped over 6,000 entrepreneurs from around the world. 300 of those have grown their companies here in North America and in Vancouver to over $2.5 billion raised. We are a startup visa provider for the Canadian government, and we've helped over 400 entrepreneurs from around the world move their operations to Canada and Vancouver using the Canadian Startup Visa Program. So very international lens to what we do. But I'm here to talk about the lines that are blurring between entertainment and tech. Just this past year, Super Mario Brothers, one of the highest grossing films of 2023. Who knew that a video game could be this monster of an entertainment platform? HBO's Last of Us, 24 Emmy nominations. This is a video game, but what made it so magical is the storytelling. The narrative that was there in the game was able to translate into a film and television monster. And this is something that we're going to talk about here today, is that ability to tell stories. And great storytelling is at the secret of film and entertainment. And that's why Riso is here, is to convey to the creatives that you can do this yourselves. You can take our stories, our international stories, and take them to the world and make them global stories. So entertainment today has evolved past film and television. The tech industry is playing a bigger role. Quick raise of hands, who's actually looked at TikTok or Instagram in the last hour and a half that we've been here sitting here? It is a natural habit. I did it myself. You are going to just gravitate to your phone because entertainment's in the palm of your hands. This was not the case 20 years ago. But going back to my lens, so the landscape in Vancouver, what is tech in Vancouver? A lot of people don't realize how dominant the tech industry is here in Vancouver and how much of a global impact we have. Homegrown companies like Later.com, if you're in the social media space, you know Later. This is a platform that's helped massive Hollywood studios, massive celebrities manage their Instagram, manage their socials. Slack inside companies. If you're in quantum computing, D-Wave, changing the way that computing is happening around the world. EA Sports, obviously people know that one. Biotech, broadband TV, revolutionizing some of the streaming challenges that we've had. And you get general fusion that's just changing how we actually consume and develop energy in the world. But it's not just the homegrown. You have the multinationals that all have a big presence here. Microsoft, Amazon, massive towers, massive operations. Apple's got offices here. But what's really been interesting is, and since 2019, we've seen a massive influx of San Francisco Bay Area companies setting up offices in Vancouver. You may not see their logos everywhere, but they are here. Vancouver has a big influence into Silicon Valley. In 2021 alone, we had over 14 unicorns just here in Vancouver. And these were crossing over a wide spectrum of industries, from education to Web3 to personal identity. Another thing that people don't understand how important it's going to be in relation to the entertainment world, but it will. It's going to manage your data. It's going to give you access to content. It's going to customize content for you, but it's your identity that's at stake here. And so personal identity software is going to be really critical moving forward. And a lot of that's being built here in Vancouver. But as Elder Larry Grant mentioned, we do have to recognize our history. What got us here today? What was happening in the past? And this is, again, the lens that I have in this world is we were known as Hollywood North since the 80s. And you look at a lot of this IP, I should update it. Joyride should be up there. But a lot of this is foreign IP that was built in Vancouver. It was IP that we rented production studios and staff to build these productions and ship them back out to LA and distribute them. But that content helped build the VFX and animation industry. That talent that was being hired to build these productions, get on set, do all that stuff that was necessary, that skill set kept evolving and growing to today, where we have the #1 VFX industry in the world. We got 60 plus animation studios here, and they're building amazing content. That's IP, that is Canadian content now. But in parallel, while the VFX industries were being built, we were seeing a huge up-ramp in the gaming industry here locally. From console games to PC games to now mobile games, Vancouver is a powerhouse when it comes to the gaming industry. And again, talent that would not have actually been there if it wasn't for the pioneers in the entertainment space that were coming in and just building out the film and television side. And again, now esports. Esports, in my mind, is the guiding star for all media companies moving forward, because Gen Z consumes content, interacts with each other in so many different ways that is different than what we were used to 10 years ago, even 20 years ago. And so looking at how esports is evolving, how content's being generated in esports, how those users of esports are interacting with each other, interacting with sponsorships, is an indicator to the major brands. And again, a lot of that stuff is happening here in Vancouver. And now when you mix all that together, you've got the storytelling from Hollywood, you've got the VFX animation skill set from the VFX animation industry, and then you've got the algorithms from the gaming industry. You mix all that together, and you now have the ability to build virtual reality content, augmented reality content. And it's no surprise that we are the #2 VR AR sector in the world. And I think there's going to be a panel later on today to talk about that. Again, stuff that's happening here in Vancouver. And again, no surprise, again, you mix all that stuff up, and guess what? We are one of the leaders in the Web3 space in the world. Now, Web3 has taken a bit of a hit this year. Nobody's really talking about NFTs, but that technology has become instrumental. It is changing the way that entertainment's going to be consumed because of data, content, privacy. Again, a lot of the stuff was being built here. Was started here in Vancouver, and it continues to be growing here in Vancouver. And then you look at all the other emerging tech that was going to apply to this industry. AI, ML, I know it's a touchy subject. There's a lot of challenges around how we develop the AI and how it's implemented. But one of the examples I want to give you is sound effects. In the 60s, in the 70s, what was the sound effect for a horse running down a street? It was somebody sitting there with 2 coconut shells, bashing them together. Fast forward today, how are sound effects created? There's still human elements, but there's a lot more digital content that's being put into that mix. That industry has evolved. And I think, let's say it's evolved for the better. And so AI, ML can be a force for good, but it has to be managed properly. And we need to be aware of how we're developing that out. But you go back to cybersecurity and personal identity. That is also, again, very critical technologies that we are underestimating the impact it's going to have. And go back to Vancouver, this stuff is being built here. So when you look at the entertainment industry, a lot of your underlying infrastructure is critical in today. Cloud hosting, video editing software, communication tools, streaming services, social media. These are all essential elements when it comes to building great media content, great entertainment content. Because today, entertainment is like it's never been before. I was going to mention about Super Mario Brothers, Last of Us, but you're also getting to new forms of content like F1, Drive to Survive. Has anybody here seen F1, Drive to Survive? You know what it is? F1 is Formula One racing. Netflix created a series called Drive to Survive where they were following the various drivers in the racing circuit. F1 viewership and fan engagement skyrocketed in the last few years because of this Netflix series. This series revolutionized the sport. It reinvigorated the sport. More sponsors come in, more lucrative TV contracts because the storytelling. People were enamored with the drivers. It was no longer a fan of the sport, they were a fan of the drivers. And so you had like women out of record numbers grew as the fan base of women in F1 grew in record numbers because women were now able to connect with the individual and not just the roar of the cars and the machine, which is mostly why guys like it, the car roars and revs. But this is now being propagated into other sports, golf, tennis, NFL. And we know it's all because of the storytelling, the narrative. You're able to really get an emotional connection to those individuals, and you see it reverberate back into the other elements of that industry. And so the key here is like the stories can come from anywhere, right? The stories and the narratives come from you. You understand what's important to you, what you want to communicate, but then distribution is what is really going to get the audience to come in. And we've got nothing but new, innovative ways to distribute our content. Netflix, Prime, Disney Plus, but short form videos, TikTok. We've seen like tremendous amounts of content being distributed around the world through TikTok. I was just talking to somebody yesterday, and she said she saw some content about an Asian American viewpoint of how he grew up in Singapore, and then when he came to America, and his lifestyle was so different, but the stuff he was able to cross back into Singapore, it changed his life. But the point is, she would never have seen that content. No mainstream media is going to carry that type of content, but she was able to find it on TikTok. That led her to the YouTube video. That YouTube video led her to his website, and she was able to see so much more content. So discovery is a new powerful tool available to you because of this short form content. And the other thing I want to mention is audio. Audio is making a massive comeback. Who's here listened to true crime podcasts? Again, did that exist 5 years ago, 10 years ago? No, not really. It's really blown up in the last little while. So audio is another distribution platform that you can explore to tell your stories. So I want to leave you with this. Vancouver can be more than a pool of talent just to rent for Hollywood. We have stories. We have great stories. Put those stories out there. Use those alternate distribution channels. Use that technology that's there to really take it to a new audience and get your story out there. It doesn't cost as much as it did before. And look at crossover IP. Again, sports and F1 is a great example of how you can take something you're passionate about, maybe it's crocheting, maybe it's skiing, and cross it over with other storytelling opportunities, and you've got brand new IP, that's your IP, that's Canadian IP, that can be global IP. And that's a piece I want to leave you with is, don't just look at it as we're Canadians, we want to build Canadian IP, we want to get our story out there. It's like, no, we are storytellers. We want to build content and IP that is recognized and influential around the world. It just happens to be built here in Canada, and I just happen to be a Canadian telling my story. So I'm going to leave it there, and hope you enjoy the rest of the day. There's an amazing amount of content coming out.